Empowering Communities Through Research, Conducting Community-Based Participatory Research with Marginalized Communities. My name is Jonathan Hood, and I'm doing this project as part of my final dissertation to complete my PhD. Whoa! Some of the people involved in this project are Karen Honor, Osea Morgi, Ben Aaron, Sekou Greg, and our supervisor, Dr. Kelly Arbanikatopoulos, and we're hailing from University of Toronto. Now, 2 years ago, Dr. Lucy Levesque gave the keynote at the ESEPS conference. And during this keynote, she talked about doing research with and not on individuals in reference to communities that we wanted to explore. Now, the same call is made in sport for development literature, where they're asking for research that includes participation, power shifting, and reflexivity. Community-based participatory research fits that criteria. And what it does, it engages the group that you want to explore in exploring the topics that you want to really look at. So in it, co-learning takes place about the issues of concern, sharing of decision-making power, and mutual ownership of the products and the processes of research. Now, for this program of research, I wanted to explore how young people in marginalized communities, and you can see I call them sideline communities, experience sport for development programs and how much development really occurs. Now, in order to do this, I'm not a young person, although I do identify as growing up in a marginalized community. I wanted to engage people from that community. Now, I'll outline Israel and colleagues' process for doing community-based participatory work. It is 5-phase, with phase 1 being partnership formation and maintenance. Now, I'm really, really involved and engaged in this community, not only by my lived experience, but because I run mentoring programs. I have been for the past 10 years, and within this time, developing pretty tight-knit relationships with young people. So I was really intentional when I wanted to build this Young Adult Advisory Board, YAAB, to really guide me in my research. So I reached out to some young people who I knew from my previous programs. I found 5 of them, ages 22 to 29. We had group meetings that were formal, a little informal. We did some team building, and I also had them meet with my supervisor. I gave them a lot of input in how we would direct this relationship and how the process would go from their engagement standpoint. The second phase is community assessment and diagnosis. Although they were not heavily involved in forming my research question, they did have input on how I would explore it. The third phase is defining the issue. So in order to get them up to speed, I created 90-minute Zoom workshops. And during these workshops, we talked about really important topics and issues that had to do with this project. Deep discussions that challenged my thinking, and hopefully they learned from. The fourth phase is documentation and evaluation of the process, and we're doing this through exit tickets, journals, and lastly, interviews. Now, the fifth phase is feedback, interpretation, dissemination, and application of results. They've given input in data collection techniques, and they will give input on data analysis, which is the phase we're at right now. Now, I have with me one of the lead members of the YAAB group, and she's going to share her experiences with you all.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Karen Honor. I'm a recent graduate at Western University. I did my bachelor's in sociology and French studies. Some of my hobbies include piano, soccer, and I'm currently the co-owner of Hope Piano Music School, where me and my siblings offer piano lessons. And I am a first-year teacher candidate at Althouse Faculty of Education. So initially, when Jonathan approached me to be a part of his research, I was a bit iffy because I know there's a lot of formal steps involved in the research process, and I'm really informal when it comes to approaching things that I learn. But at the end of the day, I gained a new appreciation for qualitative research, and the experience was very accommodating in regards to how much time we had to put into the research. I built a lot of new relationships, and I really liked how we were able to create a safe space where everyone's perspectives, opinions, and critiques were valued. some of the most rewarding parts of this experience were my input on data collection, which I was very, very proud of being able to be a part of, giving input in meeting structures, the interview script. And I'm really looking forward to how this research turns out, if we asked the right questions, if we took the right steps. So I'm really looking forward to the future work ahead. Now, some of the challenges that definitely were involved in this experiences was thinking about how much we could support Jonathan, given that he is doing his own personal PhD. And as much as we felt like this research was our own, Jonathan is the one pursuing the PhD, and he did have to go behind the scenes and do some of the groundwork on his own. And there sometimes could have been a communication gap in regards to how much work he had done with LS, or how much we could support him. Another challenge was just time management in regards to just us being students and working, and kind of thinking of how we were able to balance our time with this project in our own affairs, but we made it work. So now my recommendation to you guys is don't hide your research. I know a lot of researchers, they kind of just tell us what they're doing research on, and then they just disappear and then drop a paper. But I really like the idea of creating a board and having that two-way relationship that's very transparent and involving the community.
Now, from a researcher perspective, the challenges that we had were timing and time constraints, allocating responsibilities, and of course, we're going through a pandemic. So just making sure that everyone's schedules aligned so could accommodate the entire group. I never wanted them to feel like this was a burden. And allocating responsibilities was a challenge because you really have to make sure that the roles that each person is playing is something that they want to do and something that they're capable of doing. Recommendations for the future for researchers wanting to do research in communities that they may not be familiar with. Number one, I really, really encourage you to get familiar with the community. We all are humans. We all laugh, we all cry, we get sad, we get happy. Get to know them, develop deep relationships so that you can really understand how they fit and how you fit in the research project. And when you can, use purposive sampling. It'll really help you intentionally select those who are involved for better facilitation of the project on the whole. And lastly, work for instead of on. Don't do research on them, do research for them. Yes, I am going to get some credit for this because this is part of my PhD, is part of my doctoral degree. However, I'm working for the community. This research is not only valuable to me, but it's valuable to them. I feel like I'm working for them. And I believe that if you take that approach, you can't really go wrong. Thank you.